and welcome to Hawkridge Systems CAD Livestream. Top 10 expert techniques to master surfacing in SOLIDWORKS. My name is Sean Mars, and I'll be co-hosting today along with Scott Woods.
Hey, so before we kick this off, let's take a look at the model. So, Stormtrooper helmet, I'm pretty sure everybody can recognize this, 100% modeled in SOLIDWORKS, using SOLIDWORKS surfacing tools. So, quite a few surfacing tools, quite a few features went into this design, and we cherry-picked the top 10. Kind of what were important and what were the kind of tips and tricks we could pull off of this design, to share with everybody here. It was really important to use the surfacing tool to maintain that curvature continuity and then achieve that iconic look. And I think we pulled it off.
Yeah, it looks great. So what we're going to be doing is walking through the top 10 tips for surfacing in SOLIDWORKS. And these are going to range from quick shortcuts to improve your workflows to direct editing techniques that you may have never seen before. So if you're worried that you are going to miss something, don't worry about it. We'll share a link to a PDF handout with all the details at the end.
Yeah, and then once we wrap everything up, we're going to give away some prizes. So stick around till the end. We have the grand prize is we got a wireless 3D connection space mouse and Apple AirPods.
Yes, Apple AirPods, which we've talked multiple times. Okay, AirPods, right? They're little. You put them in your ears. These are like huge
Ear cups.
They're ear cups, yes, but they are, they're very nice.
I bet they weren't like, cinnamon rolls.
They could have been.
It would be fitting,
well, next year we'll have cinnamon roll bun headphones.
We could 3D print.
And that is a promise that Hawkridge System will stick to.
This guy's promising.
Anyway, so
okay, so if there's any questions throughout the presentation, drop that in the chat window. We do have some people standing by to help out with questions, but if any are good, I guess, really good questions, we'll share some comments live throughout the hour.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying to keep track of them. That's why if you see me staring down at this head, which actually has not anything to do with what we're doing, it's because I'm checking the chat. It's not because I'm staring at the head or my coffee or whatever, but I'm probably thinking of the coffee. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started with our first tip, Scott. This has something to do with reference planes?
Yeah, so this is referencing points for plane placement. So you see on the side of the head here, we actually have this heat vent, which is created with some surfacing loft. Surfacing lofts require sketches require planes. They have no place to put that plane, right? So here I had 3 vertices placed in the model that I could reference to actually create this plane. And then I could take that plane and offset it to give me where I'm actually lofting to.
Yeah, and so I think it's really important for anything that's this organic. There's so many different angles that you have to kind of attack things from. And with something like this, we're using the 3 vertices. Not only does it just kind of give us a general orientation, but it's angled with the model. So this is a kind of a weird side of the head. It has, it's probably angling at a couple different ways relative to the orthogonal planes. So gives us something that's kind of moving along the shape that we currently have.
You nailed it there. There's no place to have a sketch and no plane in the right location. Referencing those 3 points creates a plane that is relative to where we need to loft, and then creating an offset of that plane, it's going to maintain that that placement.
Cool. Alrighty. The other thing too is you can use a lot of different references for this plane, right? Yeah. So you used vertices, right? But you can use sketch points, you can do 3D sketches, or the other one that I like is reference geometry. So if you don't know, there's a reference geometry feature that is literally just a point, right? And that could be defined in different ways. Could be vertices, but you can also do things like, along the edge. I want to be 10% along this edge. The nice thing there is that it puts a feature in your tree.
Yes.
That's a reference point. So if you need to select it in flyout managers, for property managers and things like that, that makes it easier. It's a little better to organize it instead of just having like sketch 47 and it's just
It doesn't get consumed in sketches either.
Yeah.
You can make a sketch, and you can have a point in that sketch, but if you ever use that sketch in a feature, Now in the tree, it's hidden.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's consumed under that feature.
Yeah.
Where reference geometry stays in the tree.
Yeah.
So it makes it nice to find later.
But I'm sure, I mean, how hard is it to find something in your model, Scott? Pretty easy, right? Yeah.
Well, how many features did
Yes,
you
we did look it up. So here's if we have this is a chat trivia here. So if you can throw this in the chat, if you know the answer here, do you know the feature, or I guess I would call it a tool. It's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool.
At the part level that would tell you exactly how many features are in the entire model. So I'll let you, I'm gonna check that chat. You throw the answer in the chat, and then I'll tell you how many features actually were in there. We'll wait until after the next tip.
Oh yeah,
feels
let's
good.
do that, yeah.
All right, let's go to tip number 2 here.
Okay, so this is the extend body feature. The extend solid body feature, which doesn't exist, right? It'd be nice if it did, but it doesn't. So the challenge here is the skirting that goes around the helmet. It ends too short. I need that to go closer to where the chin is, but I can't just extend that body. I could go back in the history and modify it. Probably going to deal with some rebuild issues I have to deal with, or I could just take that surface, do a surface offset at 0, like we did previously, and then now I have a nice surface that matches the original face exactly that I can extend. Later on, I can thicken that. I can do whatever I want to it, but yeah, it gives you that extended surface.
Yeah, and so I think this approach is something that you just have to do a lot of with surfacing, because you don't necessarily want to go back and have to fully edit a model or change features, or especially something that might change like bodies or something that can really mess up stuff.
And if you've named that body, it could change the name.
Could unname it,
yes,
you know? Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the other thing too is with something that's this organic, when a surface gets extended, you never know if it might do something crazy to that surface, because if it keeps extending far enough, it might have weird kinks and swirls and divots and stuff.
If there's a little curve in there, it's going to continue that curve ever distance you choose.
And so if you're using a solid feature, it might be basically doing the same thing in the background, but you don't have any control. So the other one to try for this, depending on the circumstance, I think extend is correct here. Untrim sometimes can be useful too.
And if you notice there, I didn't want to thicken that and merge it with the existing body. So there was an adjacent face there in the design that was existing. I did a surface offset at 0 on that, extended that, used it to cut the new surface that I made, and now it creates a perfect seam. So when I thicken that, it's going to blend in with the rest of the model.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Scott, I'm going to dig into you here a little bit, because I think you're showing your age a little bit. So how did you? Because I was watching the video. How did you make the copy surface? Right? How do you do that? Right?
Well, you hit 0.
You typed in 0.
Yes.
If you're for the eagle-eyed viewers out there, or people that have used that feature a lot, you can just hit the little down arrow next to the number, because it goes from whatever the offset was, 10 millimeters or whatever, just goes to 0. And then the feature property manager changes to copy surface instead of offset surface. And it's kind of a weird hidden thing. I think you could put a little checkbox in there. I mean, it's not really necessary, but a little checkbox.
It's kind of two features in one. I'd say that the move body feature is similar, where there's a copy checkbox. And as you check that, it changes it to a copy feature. Yeah. You can copy it in place just like the surface body, or just like copying a surface. You can keep it exactly where it is, or you can move it and copy it at the same time. So.
Yeah. Alrighty, so looking over here, we actually had 4 people, I think, throw out answers for this. They were all correct, but first person, I think, to put it out there was Eric Beatty from Paris, France. Awesome. Performance evaluation. So I'm answering a question from earlier that I forgot to restate it or something. But I was saying how many features are in this model? How would we even go about checking that? Performance evaluation on the Evaluate tab. It'll tell you how many solid bodies are in there, how many surface bodies, how many features, graphics triangles now.
And when you adjust your what part, like if you suppress a feature, it will change that.
Or even rollback.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll update. But yeah, it's got the graphics triangles now as of 2025, I think. Yeah, so Eric, you're right. Good answer. I don't have anything to give you other than congratulations.
Do you remember how many features were in this
I do remember how many features. So that's the second one. Just put a guess out there. I'll say it's a lot. I don't know. Go ahead and throw in the chat how many features you think this model used, or how many features Scott used to make this model. Yeah. And with that, we'll go to tip number 3.
Okay. All right, so tip number 3 is a little different. And this is actually, the tip is relocating the delete body feature. So when you're creating any design, especially if there's going to be a lot of surfacing going on, you're going to create bodies, you're going to create surfaces that are going to be used to like cut the geometry for reference, and it starts getting really complicated and really just too many features going on in the tree. So in the viewport. So the delete body feature will clean that up. Well, the problem with that is you could use that 30 times. And now you have 30 features in the tree that all is delete body, and you're trying to find it, and it's a mess. You don't need to do that, because that delete body feature, you can always add to it. So by dropping that down to the bottom of the feature tree, editing it, and then adding any bodies you need into it, then it's going to remove those.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm showing the other side of age, I guess. I guess with the hair light,
the other side of age,
you can see all the silver hair. But that's a habit I need to get into, because it's like cleaning while you're going. If you could see the inside of my apartment right now, you would know that I'm not good at cleaning while I'm going.
Well, my wife knows I clean up after myself all the time, especially when I'm working on a project and tools in the garage. If she's watching, she knows.
Oh no, I just have I was gonna say.
I don't.
I was gonna say, I just have like around my desk, like the other day I cut my foot with a saw, just because I have so many tools around. I was just like, oh man, I just stepped.
Didn't need that
really.
toe anyways, right?
Yeah.
So.
But I was gonna say, the nice thing about cleaning up while you're going there is that pretty much the body you're looking to delete is going to be at the bottom of the solid body or the surface bodies folder, because it's the last thing that was created. So if you are taking care of it while you go, then it really helps things out.
And I think a little bonus tip there too is that you can rename bodies. And if you rename your bodies as you're working on them, then when you go to delete, it's really easy to know. I'm not going to delete something I've renamed. So if you see like surface 32 or whatever, you're like, oh, that one can go. Yeah.
So if there's any people out there that are like simulation users, like that's what I do a lot of, please, if you have any coworkers especially that are simulation workers, please, for them, use the delete keep body feature, because otherwise I'm creating a simulation and there's all these weird surface bodies in there, and I'm like, are these supposed to be part of the simulation, or they show up in visualize?
I was gonna say, because if you hide them, they go away, and poof, they're back. And it's like, no, I hid that.
Yeah, and then there's always that back and forth. It's like, now I gotta ask that person if this is a thing, or I can just guess that they didn't mean to leave it there. So
like, do you remember that 3D print with the toolbox components too big?
Yeah,
it's right. Like I'm just gonna 3D print this as it is, and then it has huge.
Yeah,
that's another issue, but kind of similar, right?
Yep. So if you've ever ran into that problem in simulation or something, you can put an F in chat for paying your respects. Okay. So we had a couple guessers for number of features.
Okay.
I can't believe Maxwell Matthews, 520 was his guess.
Oh.
The answer is 518.
Yeah.
And we're not doing Price is Right numbers, I think. I think Max, you got it.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into.
Did we show it in the video on accident? Like.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
no, I don't think so. Yeah. Okay, let's go into tip number 4, Scott.
Okay. So tip number 4 is tangency to face on a surface loft. So I'm going to break this down a little bit here. So at the very bottom of the kind of the chin area, that's called the breather unit. And as I'm modeling this and create this surface, I have this, you can kind of see it selected there on the left, have this real nice curvature to this existing surface that I could then loft from and loft to that surface on the bottom. I tried to, now I needed to create like a bulbous loft, and to really create that iconic, stormtrooper look, because they kind of balloons out on the sides. So at first I'm thinking, oh, a guide curve. Try this guide curve, and you can see that seam. You could see where it's following the guide curve. And it didn't really give me what I was looking for. But using the star constraint for tangency to face, I could take the tangency of that existing face and just like increase the influence, whatever you want to call that, to balloon it out. And then the end constraint, I actually used none. And that will make more sense when I talk about the next tip.
Sure.
I just needed something to extend to.
Yeah, that little triangular piece that it's attaching to, it's really there to set like a boundary.
Yes.
And we'll kind of see what happens with that. You said it was a bulbous loft?
A bulbous loft.
Would you say it was a subulbous loft?
Subulbous, yes. Nice.
Okay.
Subulbous.
I never beat pod racers on N64.
I love that game.
I know. I just had to admit it. I never beat it. I was
So
bad
good.
at it. It was really hard near the end, I think, or maybe I was bad because I was a child. I'm not sure. Okay.
It was just really fast, and the graphics weren't
It was
really
so
there.
fast, and
so,
you exploded, and
Yes.
it's a great game though. And then you start spinning because you lose
Yeah.
the thing. So the other thing that I just want to mention here before we move on, or I forget because I'm talking about video games. When you're using the tangent influence, right? Like you went up to 9, I think?
9, yep.
Yeah, and it goes up to 10 it's arbitrary. It's not any kind of unit system or whatever, but I've never actually went up that high because it's usually just like you need it to be like 1.5 or something.
I went to 10 and it looked fine, but I'm like, I can't do that. I've never been to 10. It just felt wrong, so I bumped it to 9. It was
Well,
good.
then, if you're at 9, then there's still room to move.
So if
just in
anybody
case.
says, can you add a little bit more? If I was at 10, I'd be like, sorry, I can't. But now I can.
I will say that so Scott made this model. I didn't do anything. I just showed up today. I'm like, oh, hey, Scott, nice work. But I did do one part, and it was that same breather. And I will say that the way I got to do it, it was so much easier than Scott's. And we'll go through that later. I'll show you that later. So for now,
I love that as well.
yeah.
So, but
for now, we'll go into tip number 5 here.
Okay, so tip number 5 is sacrificial surface. Now this isn't a feature, I'm just calling it that because remember that surface at the bottom, you kind of see that V part? I created that surface so I had something to loft to, but that surface didn't have the curvature that I wanted. So I needed that bulbous, what'd you say? Bulbous?
Subulbous?
Subulbous surface, yeah, surface, right? I needed this subulbous surface feature in order to then create a new feature at the bottom surface feature so I could copy that curvature. So to do that, just that surface that I had lofted to, I'm going to delete it. Then use a surface fill. And with the surface fill, you can do the boundary edges. So with the boundary edges, which you'll see in the video here in just in a second, you can set to curvature. And so on the edges that don't have any surfaces attached, that could just be nothing. But then on using that the curvature of that loft, it will continue that curvature into that bounding surface. I'm sorry, the surface fill.
Yeah, so what you're saying. So let me walk through the steps here. Okay, so we have the initial surface, the sacrificial surface, right? And that's just there to be a boundary for the subulbous surface.
Yes.
And then we just wipe out the sacrificial surface so that we can recreate something that's almost the same as that surface, but enforces continuity across that area. So what you're saying is you went into the future, did one thing, and then you went backwards and created the other thing out of order.
Yes.
That never happens in Star Wars. I don't know why you would do that.
It does happen in other movies, though.
Okay, so we're going to go into tip number 6 here. Oh, I will say enhancement request to make it go to 11 was thrown in chat.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
for the longest time, in my brain had told me it went to 11. So I would always say it goes to 1 to 11.
And everybody's like, take it to 11. So that could just be some
exactly.
crazy. So it has incremental from 0 to 10, and 11's 300.
Yeah.
Right? It's just boom.
And then if you go to 11, it should play a little guitar riff or something.
Do you want to talk about this tip?
Oh yeah, do we want to go into this tip? Oh, that's right, okay.
Okay.
So we're looking at this so underneath the pipes, these breather pipes, is that what are the, there's kind of this arching loft, is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, so it's right at that chin area, right at the bottom of those three longer pipes. There's a name for it, I'm not remembering. Is a loft that needed to be mirrored. And so you can kind of see the guide curves there in the loft sketches. And the thing is that I know that this needs to be mirrored. And I could probably do it all in one curvature. Would it be symmetrical? Probably not. So this way, I know 100% sure it's going to be symmetrical, and it's going to be correct after doing that mirror. So the normal to profile is going to be on that center line, and the tangency to face is going to be on that face that's attaching to. So that existing face is going to have a nice tangency into this loft, and then it's going to end with a normal profile on the right plane. So when it mirrors, it's going to be perfectly smooth.
Because it's basically, the normal profile is going to enforce some amount of room that it's going perfectly perpendicular from the sketch.
Yep.
You mirror it, they're in the same line as each other. Yeah. And I think this also brings up it's kind of side point of, I think when we're thinking like everything needs to be really smoothly connected, we need this continuity, there's like this feeling of like, just always need to use the highest level, you know, it's kind of like the always crank it up to 11 kind of problem.
Yes.
And that's definitely not true. Sometimes tangency to face works better than curvature to face. You can get something better. And
Maybe you want a little cleft.
yeah, if you don't have it, then you can have a little cleft.
You have a custom helmet, yeah?
Yeah, a custom helmet, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's mostly all they do to make new stormtroopers. Is they just give them different chins, you know? Which,
Why they do that, yeah.
yeah, they just a little chin. So yeah, if you want a little clefted chin,
Maybe like a Lord Farquaad helmet?
Farquaad, or like if there's anyone much young, this is where I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna sound like this old fart, but it's like a Giga Chad kind of chin you could do. I'm sorry if there's some young person that's like, he's too old to say that. It's making me cringe here. Okay, let's go into number 7 here.
Number 7. Okay, so number 7 is planar surface for sketching. Now this is, it's a pretty simple tip. It's a little short for a stormtrooper tip. No? Okay, I tried. So, so I'm going to create this this extrusion for the Blair induction filter. For that, I need a plane. For that, I need a flat sketch, I'm sorry, I need a flat plane that I can sketch on. And so, in order to make sure, because I'm doing all this with surfaces, that's going to be flat, I just put a plane where I needed to go. I put a circle sketch. I did a sketch and drew a circle. And then I'm doing these sketch fillets. I'm sorry, these sketch surface lofts. Wow, that was a brain fart. Surface lofts to go from the outer edges to that circle. And then for that flat, it's just a planar surface. And the reason why I think this is important is because I know if I use planar surface, I will be able to always trust that it's flat.
Which is kind of the other weird thing when you start using like a lot of surfacing tools or a lot of just doing organic shapes. There's a lot of times where it seems like it's flat, or it is like flat, but the system has like organized that geometry as like a spline, a NURB surface or something.
Yep.
And so not only just for your own ability to continue modeling, but sometimes you're going to need areas that you know are dead flat for some kind of manufacturing process or tool pads or whatever, and just knowing 100%. It's also just like a super simple tool, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even trust like, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but you know, like wouldn't trust, no. I'm just, in my older age, I like to make sure that the tools I use, I know how they're going to behave 100%. So even if there was a line and a surface extrude, is that plane flat? Well, if the line was flat, yes. But what if I modify that surface later? Then maybe not, right? So using this planar surface, I know it is going to be.
I think also if you're doing all this surface modeling, like oftentimes we get into surfacing because it's like, I want control. You know, I'm willing to take multiple steps to make sure I have every control at every level, versus normal solid features are kind of like, oh, let me do this for you,
and then
right?
We'll cut at different angles and carve it out instead of build it from the ground up.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, so we're gonna go into, what are we at, 8 out of 10 here?
8. Okay, so this is going to be surface trim while keeping the selections. And I think what is important here, and the area that we're looking at in the model you see right there, it's going to be the right above the breather unit. Sean calls it the teeth, which is actually the natural vent, if you want to be accurate. It's that area, right? So I had to create this natural vent, but it was a pretty complicated loft. So I needed a surface that I could reference. And I have that surface, but it wasn't quite the right size. And so I used the keep selections for the surface extrude delete. And so the reason why I think this is important, surface cut. I think the reason why this is important is because there could be little artifacts everywhere. And I'd have to choose everything I wanted to delete. So there might be 50 selections for a delete, but just one I want to keep.
Yeah, like oh my gosh, especially if you're trying to keep your surface bodies folder clean or trying to keep the, random crazy bodies, have you ever done that thing where it's like, oh, where is this tiny, I know it's probably small, but where is it? And you do like a zoom to selection, and it's like some kind of magnifying glass, like you're going through the scales of life kind of thing, like from universe down to single-celled organism, down to atoms, and you have this tiny, you go past an atom, and then there's a little triangle of a surface floating there.
Go the opposite way, do zoom fit all, and the helmet goes, and there's a little surface out here, like how did that get there?
Yeah, because you had some massively overbuilt surface that cut down.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nice here. I do want to take a second here before we go to the next one, just to take a look at the chat here a little bit. Number one, Cayman Frederick, thank you very much. That's a great tip here. They're saying right-click on a surface and just try to make a sketch, and then if you can, like if this create sketch button shows up, then it's flat. And I do that all the time, where it's just like I'm not even trying to make a sketch. I'm just like, will it give me the option, right?
Yep.
That's very useful. If anyone has any tips or anything like that, please throw them in there, because that's the kind of stuff that we want.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I need to address here. There's a couple people asking for your model, and I know you really wanted to give them that. I think it was like a lawyer or someone.
There's a little legal
advised us maybe not.
I want to give it away. I can't yet. Yeah. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll have something. I don't know. I think it's a copyright thing. Yeah.
I don't trust the lawyer. I mean, like Disney, they're not. What would they care? They're not litigious or anything like that. Or I didn't say that. I like your movies and stuff. I just watched Andor. Amazing. It's great.
Oh, yeah. Season 2 is amazing.
Season 2. Oh, and I was actually working on the breather unit while I was watching it. So because there are stormtroopers in there, and it's the original ones. Because Anyway. Okay, we're going into tip number 9 out of 10 here.
Here we go. Okay, so this is ruled surface edge flipping. Now, when you select edges to create a ruled surface, and I haven't quite figured out why this happens, but the software decides which way to flip that edge or flip that surface relative to that surface. And so when you are creating a ruled surface, in a single feature, you could get what you're seeing on screen right there, where it's like flipping in that section. And I'll be honest, when I first started doing this, I got frustrated, so I deselected that edge and used the surface or used the feature, and then used another ruled surface and on the edge and got it right, and then I knitted the two together, and
Yeah, I will say that probably my only actual contribution to this model directly was you chatting or IMing me, just talking about this. This ruled surface, it keeps going on the wrong thing. I'm like, isn't there like a button that's called alternate face?
And hey dude, it's right in front of you.
That's right. But it's like the where you see it so much, you stop seeing things, right? Like you get so used to something that you stop seeing all the other options and things like that.
I know this like the back of my hand. There is no button. You do not see anything. It doesn't exist because I know everything.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of functionality shows up every once in a while, where you like go and reselect a specific thing in your selection box, and then there's a setting that you're changing just for that one thing.
And that kind of gets me thinking. I didn't add this as a tip, but and a lot in this model, I use the selection manager, right? So when you're doing like a loft or whatever, and there's an edge or whatever, you use the selection manager. And you're like, I want to just select these edges and do it. So it's a similar kind of thing.
Or multi-radius fillets are kind of like that, where you have to read. Or multi-thickness shell.
haven't used that in a while.
I know. I kind of avoid it because then it's like another thing I have to remember, but it's really useful a lot of the time. So if you have any other ones let me know, because I'm supposed to know all these things, and I'm probably forgetting something. So
it's easy.
Okay, so tip number 10.
Okay, so this is by far my most favorite feature in all of SOLIDWORKS. And I'm not just saying that, I really truly mean this, because it helps me so much. So this is cleanup using delete face, and then we're using a patch. So it's a delete face, but then patching, that's an option within the feature. So the reason why I love this so much is because when you're modeling, accidents happen, right? Like you see this area here where that extrusion for the breather tooth came through the geometry, and it's like, oh man. So in the past, long time ago, I'd use a cut extrude or whatever to try to clean that up. But now you can just do a delete face, patch it, and
just kind of disappears.
Just disappears, like never happened.
That actually, I find it very satisfying, because you have to use this sometimes for imported models or, once again, simulation, where you just have like weird little faces that you got to get rid of so it'll mesh easier. I just find it really satisfying when everything just works and it just disappears.
Especially if you, for whatever reason, like you have a surface and you're going to extrude through that surface, but you just want that, you want to clean it up. You can cut it, you can extrude up to surface. Delete and patch will just clean it up every time.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes if that's like on an edge or a vertice, it might not be able to patch it. So I like to, in that case, I just like to just delete. There's a fill option too, but if you just delete it, it will take that section, that face out. It'll turn your solid into a surface. So you have basically it looks like the solid, but now it's a surface body with that missing face. And you can use tools like sweep or fillet or boundary surface. You can patch it and then do a, you can combine it and make a solid.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes what I'll do is I'll use split line first. Because if you use split line, you just throw like some random lines and then it'll split that face, and then that's a deletable face, and you can do other stuff. So if there's something nasty going on, you basically can overcut, right?
Yeah, now that you say that, I did it about right there on the backside.
It's pretty much the same as like a trim, but if you're at a solid body already, you can kind of skip right to that. The one thing too is just remember that that tool works best when there's clean surfaces around there, because the software is basically just automating surfacing. It's automating copying, untrimming, knitting it back together, that kind of stuff. So as long as it can kind of figure out what those surroundings look like. The other one is, have you ever done the thing where you turn like a previous feature, you color it? So put an appearance on the feature.
Or a body.
Or a body, but if you do it on like a feature or body or whatever, you make it red and everything else is gray, then you can see all the weird little spots that might be poking out.
Yep, for sure. That's a good one.
Okay, so that goes for all of our main, our in-universe main canon tips here. And we're gonna go and talk a little bit about the silver head here.
Right.
Remember the silver head?
So if you noticed throughout the presentation, every time we went into a tip, you'd see that silver Stormtrooper head, this guy here. And what I wanted to talk about is this is actually a new function, new feature called share and markup. So share and markup allows you to take anything that's inside of SOLIDWORKS. It can be a part, an assembly, a drawing. It could be an imported step file, whatever it is. As long as you can open it in SOLIDWORKS, you can share that with anybody. It creates a URL link, and you can choose if you want people to be able to comment on there, measure it, use that for collaboration and communication. I've seen it used for like even approval processes, so it's pretty cool. Share and markup comes with what's called cloud services. Cloud services was introduced July of 2023. So from then on, every license of SOLIDWORKS that you buy comes with cloud services. So if you've purchased SOLIDWORKS since July of 2023, you have it. And so it's a great tool. Oh, by the way, the cloud, it also comes with data management in the cloud.
Yep.
So for cloud services.
Those are usually something that will reach out to you and help you out, but you should definitely ask about it. See, especially if you've bought any new SOLIDWORKS licenses the last couple of years. It is, especially if you're still like emailing people files or Dropbox links or anything like that, can be used that way
Yes.
too, because
Yes.
that link doesn't just open it up and share in markup. There's a download option,
There
and you
is.
can when you create that link, you can choose what file type it's going to download for people, step or the full SolidWorks
Right,
one.
so you can protect your files too. So don't think, oh, if I share this, they're going to have my CAD data.
Yeah.
That's not, that you can allow that, but that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. And what's nice is like you didn't see in there, like you can put in text and dimensions or like measurements, it would be more correct to say, I guess. Circling, stuff like that, annotations like that. You didn't see any on mine because I knew I was going to do a bad job and they'd all look like crappy circles and everyone would see it.
You don't have that mouse circle down. Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, the mouse circle. I need the, you know how in a lot of tools you do the mouse circle, it's bad, but then it like adjusts it to make it look perfect and nice.
It does.
It does do that.
Yeah.
But I still couldn't get it enough to where I was like, I know I'll just be staring at it that whole thing.
I have the circle, arrow, like I have that down pat. I could have done it for you.
I need a bigger, because my desk is full of tools. I need a bigger space for my mouse. So like one of the giant mouse pads. That's it. Okay. So the other thing that was connected to this is that I did say I made one thing myself here. So I did it in XDesign. So XDesign is a browser-based CAD tool here. And specifically, I'm using a thing called XShape, which is a subdimensional modeling. Scott, do you want to give us a little overview of that?
Yeah, so XDesign is a newer CAD tool, runs 100% in the browser, no install needed, in basically any device. If the device has a browser, you can use this software. Just so there's no confusion there, Sean did use XShape in order to create this model. XShape is part of XDesign. So XDesign is like, you think of SolidWorks, and it is the CAD tool. And XDesign is the subdimensional modeler within XDesign. And I like to think about this as like a virtual ball of clay, where you can literally shape. It's very creative, but you can still hit dimensions. You can still reference SolidWorks. You import your SolidWorks model, and you can reference that. You can reference images. And I love how you use that line of symmetry, Sean. So like you'll see that when he modifies one side, it's modifying the other side automatically. So I'm a big fan of symmetry. That's why I use the hedge state of face.
The other thing about it is like you can try different things as well. You can see there's a couple times where like I'm putting creases so you can tell it what angle you want things on, like if I know I need to have like a sharp angle. But some of those later I'm just like, I don't like that, and I just get rid of it, right? So there's a lot of, you can do little adjustments and stuff and kind of keep tweaking things, but even if this seems like, oh man, he's doing all these tweaks, you can see the timer is 32 minutes. This is only the second time I made this, and I only did that because I realized I hadn't recorded the first time, and I was like, oh, I probably need that. And so I just started brand new. But oftentimes what I'll do with XShape is that you can have multi-body parts in there, so you can bring in multiple subdivisions and do different sections and then merge them together if that makes more sense, especially if they don't need to be smoothly connected. Or I could have just opened up your assembly, right? So that SolidWorks assembly opens up directly in XDesign. It's still controlled by SolidWorks and edited in SolidWorks, stuff like that, but it's all referenced all there. And so I could have just built it directly into his SolidWorks assembly, which would have then opened the XShape part in SolidWorks when you needed it.
There's a direct link between the two. So if you modify the design in SolidWorks, it's going to show that in XShape. If you modify your XShape part, it's going to show that in SolidWorks.
And the only reason why I didn't do that is that I thought that people would think that I just used Scott's model to like, because I could have literally just put in the ball and then just use your 3D model to just perfectly form it to the surface of that instead of using the sketch pictures. So I was like, it'll be more honest if I just use sketch pictures, which is wow, you probably would do it. So
also the copy body is really functional. You didn't mention that, right? Okay, good. So so when you have a body in XShape, you're like, I want to make a change, but I don't know if I really want to make a change. Copy it, make a copy of it, modify that, do that how many times you want, and you don't have to do revisions or anything. You can just keep what you want.
It's actually it's astonishing how fast it is, because it's one of those like,
Yes.
you know, if you have a big surface model or complex model of any kind, there's rebuild times. And if you think about like, oh, if I was going to just like copy and paste the whole thing, then it's going to slow things down or make a file really big. But it's actually it works really well. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I've
it's in the
also
cloud.
I've also opened up gigantic mesh files in browser, and it worked.
Okay, so the engine behind the scenes running it is the same engine that runs CATIA. And CATIA is designed for very large assemblies, very complicated design. So it is a part of why that is so fast.
I wish I had, I just realized, you know, I was just saying like, I opened up a big mesh file. It's my head. We could have put my head in the next year.
You have a mesh file of your head?
Yes, I have a mesh, because I've used XDesign to make an Oni mask.
Yeah.
You know, like the Japanese
And you're
demons.
telling me this now?
Yeah, I just thought
We haven't been doing this for a month and a half?
I know. I literally just remembered it.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, let's go. Oh, actually, you were saying it runs off CATIA. So
Yes,
perfect
yeah,
segue.
so
We're going to talk
segue.
about CATIA. Let's talk about
Okay,
CATIA.
so next up is CATIA. So, so this whole time, bear with me, I have an incoming joke. This whole time we have been in hyperspace, and now we're going to kick it up to plaid. So, did I nail it? We're going to go plaid.
Yes.
So, good enough. So this is more just plugging CATIA for if you have really, really complicated designs that you have to make very, very precise surfacing, class A surfaces, that precision that you need to hit very, very specific dimensions. It's used primarily in like automotive, aerospace, marine, kind of industry-specific design. And that's really what CATIA is made for. So SOLIDWORKS is awesome, XShape, XDesign, awesome, but sometimes you kind of need to go to that level up. And that's what CATIA is going to give you. It also has really great assembly performance, and how it's written, it utilizes your hardware really, really well. So if you have multi cores, depending on what graphics card you have, it's going to utilize that hardware way better than anything else out there.
Yeah, this looks super cool. I know I get to finally start learning. I don't know CATIA, so that's my thing here is I don't know how to use this tool, but I think I get to learn it in August. Is
July.
when we're July.
End of July, yeah, you got
we're
training,
getting together,
so.
do like our own training. So I'll finally be able to do stuff there too.
It's fun.
Yeah, because it looks super cool, and yeah, the A-class surfaces, if you're not super familiar with those, it's just basically has to do with the continuity between two different faces. So when we're talking in SOLIDWORKS about tangency to face, curvature to face, or at the sketch level, torsion continuity is like the next level. Like that's what we're talking about. Basically, the highest class smoothness or continuity between these changing shapes. So, okay, so this is also good. Nico Quizzer, he mentioned, he was like, oh, enhancement requests, make the tips go to 11.
The tips go to 11.
We can't
we got it.
We can't do that. But now that we have given you the main tips, we're going to now go backwards and talk about just a few extra tips of like how we started this model, like how you get going with models like this. So these are the prequel tips.
That's right.
So Scott, what did you name these? What, 0.1?
0.1.
0.1.
Yeah, couldn't go 1. I already did that. Okay, so and we kind of mentioned this throughout the presentation. Using a sketch picture, you can do this in XDesign, you can do this in SOLIDWORKS, probably most CAD tools out there, but it's a very, very important starting point, because where do you start drawing? Like, where do you begin? You look at a photo or something, it's like, yeah, it looks like a stormtrooper helmet. How do I start? And so what I did here is I took the right plane, the front plane, top plane, bottom plane, back plane, whatever. I think I created a new plane there, but just place the planes where I wanted them, sketch pictures in each one, line them up. You can resize them. So if you know there's a precise dimension you need to hit, there's actually a line when you place that sketch. And you say, from this point to this point is going to be 10 inches, and then it will scale the image to that size.
We could have scaled it to my head.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I use pretty much the same approach in XShape as well. I threw all those pictures up, and once again, I was like, Scott made this whole model. He also went and found the pictures on Reddit.
I think it was Reddit.
Yeah. So
Yep.
thank you, Reddit user. We'll insert a sound bite right here where it says their name. And then I just took all your pictures and scaled them based off I just literally went into SolidWorks and I was like, okay, how big is this picture that you put in there? And that's how I scaled it.
You didn't copy and paste the pictures from SolidWorks, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't do that.
Like screenshot them?
Yeah, because you have to like save mount and stuff. And
too much work.
Yeah, it was too much work. Okay, so let's go into prequel tip 0.2.
Okay, this is going to be the projected curves. So, so this is basically taking two 2D sketches, projecting them. So I have one here on like the front plane and one on the right plane. You project them, and where they meet, they create a curve, a sketch curve. Now, you could do this with like a 3D sketch, but again, just like the previous tip, like where do you start? Where are those points in space? I don't have a Ryan Navarro brain.
Yeah, yeah, he loves that the style spline.
Yes.
With 3D because it is the most controllable. You have the control polygon, but still, like for me, I'm like trying to figure out like where it's gonna. I mean, I guess the endpoints sometimes are figured out for you a little bit, but it's tough, man.
And if I'm able to share this model, you'll see this in the model, but I like to take various sketches, and I'll create almost like branches inside the sketch, and then the end of that branch is a point on that sketch, and I'll use that to place my 3D sketch. And then when I go back and modify those sketches, it relocates that point, which modifies the 3D sketch. It's very complicated.
It's kind of a beautiful mind way of thinking, oh, and then I'll do this.
Or you can do projected curves.
Or projected curves, yes. I like it. Projected curve, for me, feels like when you have like that perfect situation of a computer actually doing something for you that you can't really do, and then it works, you know, like, or just like, I can understand with my human brain these two 2D sketches, and I'll just make a computer do the rest of it.
Yeah.
If you ever want to like visualize what it's doing, do surface extrudes. So just extrude both of those sketches, and they'll run into each other, and exactly where that intersection is, that's what all the projected curve is giving you.
Or you can use trim with surface. You extrude like one surface, one trim. That'll give you an edge in case some tools prefer an edge.
Yeah, it's true. Some things don't like curves, so you end up making the curve, and then you do a 3D sketch and convert the curve into a sketch, and then you use the 3D sketch curve, even though it's all the same shape. You know,
never happens.
Okay, last one.
Okay, 0.3. Keep it all organized. So you'll see it. And this is feature folders, you can see on the left there. And you'll see this throughout the presentation, if you notice, that I kind of started going crazy because, what was it, 520?
18.
18, okay. The guess was 520?
Yes, the guess was 520.
Features, right? And try to look at a feature tree with 500, I'm going to go with 20. 520, you nailed it. Features in the tree. So, this, you can organize them by what step you're on, like what part of the design, what tip we're doing currently, whatever it is. So you can organize those folders just to keep it clean. And I kind of mentioned earlier too about renaming the bodies. I think that really fits in with this tip as well, where it's like you can rename your surface bodies, your solid bodies, create anything in folders. It just helps keep sanity.
Yeah, because even if you don't have anything close to 518 features, it's a lot of work to name every feature. Like you just start forgetting, like you're like, come on. Like I think there's like it's the most evil, maniacal setting in SolidWorks. Remember, like, because there's like some settings that admins can like enforce through system properties if they want. Not everyone uses it, but there's that one maniacal one that is like, it won't let you exit a sketch or feature without renaming it. You have to rename every single one. You just
brought back some bad memories.
I know.
I forgot on purpose. You're right, there is a setting for that. Yeah, don't ever.
That sounds like it's a very good prank to play on your coworkers, though.
That's like taking the desktop, taking a snapshot of it, moving anything into a folder, and putting that as a desktop image.
I did that.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Or, oh my gosh, no, the tech support guys, though, they can really get you, because the one time they replaced the WAV file, the sound file for the SolidWorks, like, bing bong, like the error sound with the DO Do from Homer Simpson.
I thought you were going to go with the scream, you know?
Oh
like,
my God, no, that would be really mean. But yeah, or you can also change the splash page. So when SOLIDWORKS is opening, you can put any image there. You sneak that into the right spot.
Oh, all sorts
anyway,
of,
call
all
your tech
sorts of
support
tips,
team here and ask them how to do this so you can play pranks on your coworkers. Okay, so that's
Prize time?
yes, prize time. One thing I do want to say, I think before we do the prizes, I think to round out the session here, there's actually a comment from someone in here that I think is just very nice. Because one, I was saying like, it only took me 32 minutes to make this thing or whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I forgot to mention when you said 32, I think it was like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think I mentioned that.
But it's okay because storytelling and reading for fun is the name of the person. They say, I find in creating to not worry so much about time. Just focus on the creative aspects without time management stress. And I just think it's a nice sentiment to end on.
That should have been in your fortune last night. That was an awesome fortune cookie.
I did have a fortune cookie last night, but anyway. Yeah, well, that should be in a fortune cookie. You could be a fortune cookie writer. I'm sure there's a lucrative career in that.
Yeah.
You can engineer as your side hobby.
AI will never take over fortune cookies.
Yeah.
Ever.
Okie dokie. So that was super jam-packed with a lot of stuff here, and I think it's time to do some prizes.
Yeah, I forgot to mention before that that we're actually going to have this has all been recorded, so this will be available. And then we're also going to have a summary blog. So we'll get that out next week, maybe. I think it's next week. So basically a blog kind of summarizing everything we've learned today. Yeah. So that should be helpful.
Cool. Okie dokie. So, it looks like I'm the winner. No. Okay. So, is there? I think we have a little thing of what they're looking at here. Okay. So we have the 3D Connection Space Mouse here, and that is the winner of Space Mouse Pro Wireless is John Park with Zodiac Aerospace. Congratulations, John Park. That almost threw me off because originally we had placeholder names so we wouldn't forget to put something in here, and it was John Smith. And so when that popped up, I was like, we forgot to do the replace
not right.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, John Park. You have the 3D Connection Space Mouse here. And the other one, the Apple quote-unquote AirPods. What if that was actually, they're actually very tiny. I mean, it just proportionally looks, they're really tiny. All right, the winner of that is going to be Kelvin Sung with Thermo Fisher Scientific Ink. Thermo Fisher. Congratulations, Kelvin Sung.
Awesome.
All righty. Well, I mean, obviously, thank you so much for joining us. You're allowing me to have a job where I'm just goofing over here, so
I tell you what, I'm modeling this helmet, and I'm like, I'm getting paid for this.
Yeah, that's true. I was watching Andor and model. I was like, I'm working.
A little bit about me too is I create Halloween costumes every year with my family. We did Mandalorian a few years back, and I'm like, I just modeled a Stormtrooper helmet, so we'll see.
Yeah.
However, I've already promised the kids this year we're going to do Minecraft.
Oh yeah, that should be pretty easy. I don't think you'll need to do a lot of surfacing for Minecraft.
It's going to be a pain. Yeah, because it needs to be accurate.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a creeper walk? Yeah. It's going to be hard.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us here. Don't forget to download your copy of the SOLIDWORKS Tips and Tricks PDF here, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you. It was awesome.